In Asterisk City, a new student, Ayato, tries returning a handkerchief he finds but accidentally sees the owner changing. It's only his first day at Seidoukan Academy, but she challenges him to a duel regardless, introducing herself as Julius Alexia van Reisfeld, a Striga, rank 5 at the academy. He accepts. Whoever destroys the other's school badge wins. She launches many attacks using her fire-based skills to begin the assault. Her confidence wavers as he deflects everything she throws at him. Someone is trying to take advantage of the duel and litter her with arrows, so he tackles her to the ground. Claudia, a school representative, steps in and stops the duel. In her office, she begins to explain to Ayato how all of the schools on the island participate in festas, tournaments that pit kids against one another. He's primarily concerned about his sister and why she abruptly vanished after 6 months at Seidoukan. Her records have been almost completely deleted, but her weapon, an ogre lux known as the Servaresta, is still in the hands of the school. Julius is in the same class as her, and he wants to befriend her. She keeps people at a distance, but she concedes she owes him one. Yabuki, another student and Ayato's new roommate, says that's typical of the princess, which isn't a nickname. She's actually the princess of a country called Sultania. Lester, rank 9, challenges Julius to a duel for fighting a novice, although he's already lost 3 times to her. When he claims she fights for fun, she gets angry and tells him off. She's not fighting for the excitement of it. She's determined to win all 3 festas. Ayato has a dream about his sister, Haraka, who warns him to be cautious with his strength until he discovers his life's purpose. The other day, Ayato stepped in, introducing himself to Lester, who skulks away as Yabuki records the whole thing. Ayato questions why Julius fights. She says it's for the prize money from the Phoenix Festa. Yabuki mentions it's a tag team, wondering if she's found a partner. A little embarrassed, Julius' ideal partner should be Page 1, who fights with honor. Yabuki runs off to take a call, and Ayato asks Julius where the boys' dorm is. He needs someone to show him around the city and uses his favor to get Julius on board. Julius shocks the class, begrudgingly saying good morning back to Ayato. Apparently, she barely ever speaks to anyone. Noticing Saya, a childhood friend, is also in his class, surprises Ayato. Asking about her dad, he finds out he's the reason she's there, to show off the guns he designs. Julius and Saya fight over who should show Ayato around when Claudia randomly shows up offering instead, but she's really there to get his signature to check out a weapon the next day. Julius and Saya agree to show Ayato around together, though Saya is directionally challenged and needs the tour as much as he does. The 2 girls begin arguing over Ayato before they start a duel. More arrows narrowly miss Julius. Saya tries hitting their assailant, who ends up escaping. The next day, Ayato goes to sign out a weapon. It turns out Lester is trying to check out the Servaresta too, but his compatibility is only 30%. It keeps going down even into the negatives as he fights the sword. Overlux have a will of their own, according to Claudia. He turns, heading straight for him, trying to break through the barrier. He catches it by the handle and forces the sword to bend to his will. Compatibility, 97%. Claudia asks him a favor, telling him to come by her place that night. Walking in, he sees her just getting out of the shower. Her room is way nicer than the dorms. Apparently, her status as a Page 1 grants her more privileges, like private quarters, not like being the student council president, which is more trouble than it's worth. But she likes trouble. Apparently, the students who intended to enter the festa are suffering major injuries, forcing them to withdraw. Lester is the prime suspect, but it doesn't add up. Claudia asks Ayato to keep an eye on Julius since she's been the target of recent attacks. Offering him a reward for accepting her request, Ayato gets flustered and runs out of her quarters. The next day, Julius shows him around Asterisk City. There aren't many rules regarding duels or anything else, really. People fight in the streets fairly often instead of the arenas scattered throughout. Ayato tells Julius that she might want to be careful and not go out alone or duel anyone for a while. Lester shows up right as he finishes warning her, and Ayato tells him not to implicate himself due to the attacks. They run into a street brawl, but Julius knows it's a setup to make it seem like an accident instead of a target attack. One of the thugs from Ruwolf notices the guy who hired them, and Julius runs after him. Ayato follows, getting his Lux destroyed while the attackers escape. Julius invites Ayato over to her quarters that night. Telling him to take off his clothes flusters Ayato, realizing Julius tells him out of the gutter. She just wants to sew the tears in his clothes. Apparently, back home she used to run away and play with the kids at the orphanage after they saved her from some thugs. They're the ones who gave her the handkerchief and taught her to sew. The next morning, Julius receives a letter, distracting her from answering Ayato and greeting him with a good morning. Claudia asks about it and tells Ayato he's a fool for not realizing that it isn't that Julius doesn't trust him enough to say something, that she wants to protect him. With that, he runs after Julius while Claudia throws him the Servaresta. Julius arrives at the meeting place detailed in the letter. The one behind the attacks turns out to be Silas Norman, one of Lester's lackeys. He lets slip that Lester isn't one to attack while someone else duels, but only someone watching her and Ayato duel would know that. Lester arrives and demands to know if what he said is true. Silas brought him there to be a fall guy. When he tries attacking Silas, one of the hooded assailants stops his axe with their bare hands. They aren't students, they're puppets controlled by Silas. Lester says it doesn't matter how many he attacks with. Well, how about 128 of them? Julius calls him out for working with Arlequin, the only school capable of producing armor that can withstand her attacks. Knowing that Silas can't leave her alive, Ayato shows up just in time, apologizing for his tardiness. Julius doesn't need his help, but she has people she needs to protect. So who's going to protect her? It seems Ayato has found his purpose. Ayato has a trick up his sleeve, asking his celestial bonds to release him. Suddenly unleashes his true powers, allowing him to figure out that Silas can only move 6 puppets at once, 16 can execute simple patterns, and the rest can only execute basic movements like a game of chess. Easily defeating the puppets, Ayato thinks it's over, but Silas has a backup plan. It's huge. The puppet, that is, but still no match for the Servaresta. Silas attempts to run. Julius uses her powers to carry Ayato, flying after him. Silas falls to the ground, and they leave it to Claudia to deal with him. Ayato screams as the purple chains wrap around his body and he passes out. He has a flashback to his sister casting a spell. With these celestial shackles, I bind your savage force, telling him she has no choice before disappearing. He comes to Julius' lap. Trying to apologize, she tells him to stop being an idiot. It's fine. Wondering what those chains were, he explains that his sister's power is binding. Apparently, he can only use his powers for up to 5 minutes. Ayato offers to be her partner in the festa, finding his purpose. She accepts. When Nabuki appears from the shadows, it looks like they're up to something. Another mysterious figure watches, the one who created the puppets.